Alright guys, so we're going to game number 2 here in the grand final of the Warchief Club number 11. And we've got Stormkeeper on his English now, up 1-0 in the best of 3, up against Dieg, also on English, in the red trunks, fighting it out, hoping to not go home with his tail between his legs 2-0. So we'll see how we go in this series. We had an impressive HRE versus Rus game, so Stormkeeper getting the win on the HRE. English, this could be hard and fast. English is an impressive Age 2 army with the Longbowmen and with access to man-at-arms from Age 1, so you can even mount some extremely early game aggression on them. It's an early mill here for Stormkeeper. Looking to go for the fairly slow age up in favour of some farms, perhaps. Or Dieg. No mill at this stage. In terms of the scout count, we've got 1 scout. Just the starting scout for both our players. So, English v English, you're not as likely to see 2 to 3 scouts as you will in any of the matchups involving Rus. And I don't think D8 can actually fit farms there. Probably wanted to put that out 1 tile, and on top of that, this isn't going to be inside it. Yeah, I don't think that's actually going to be empowered. Oh no, it is just. But really, he probably could have put that out 1 tile, and he could have all 8 farms around it. I don't know, weird. Who am I to judge? Oh, this is what he's trying to do. But in saying that, he's just still 1 tile too close. The Stormkeeper, yeah, slightly better positioning. On the mill, like I said, he can actually have it backed up in behind. It's cool, all the visual effects to the map. Look at all this. This is all just because of the town centre. Little field. So both our players gathering quite a bit of wood in the early game, which is something you don't normally see a lot of on the other civs, just because of the extremely fast farm transition that English are able to do. They got a council hall going up right now for DA. Stormkeeper's going to be a little bit slower on his, but that's cool. Actually, we do have 2 scouts here. A Stormkeeper, just gathering a couple more sheep versus the 1 for Dieg. In terms of the sheep count, I think it actually really does favour Stormkeeper as well. So he's only just able to go towards his council hall now. But he'll look at doing so right next to the town centre. Man, the graphics in this game are unreal for an RTS game. But yeah, the Council Hall gonna finish up pretty much half the time ahead of the opponents. So Diego right now has the tech lead, and I think he does have one villager over Stormkeeper, considering the scout difference. But having two scouts just gives him a nice tank Stormkeeper, because he is going to be slower on that castle, that Council Hall. He is going to need to bring his own scout back though. Because he is in the lead here, he is also going to get first flag on any of the sheep, so this isn't bad for him. Diego chasing, isn't getting sheep in the meanwhile. So as you just saw, Stormkeeper grabbing a couple of sheep while retreating. While he's got his other scout over here, full health, so it's going to be able to get out in time if 4 or 5 bows try to intercept it. Defensive outpost, because Stormkeeper knows he's going to be at a bit of a loss in terms of the bowman count early on. So this scout doing one last little patrol. Check and see if there's any more sheep around. Don't think he's going to get any more. There's not any around here. So both players just massing up some bows. Blacksmith coming out for Diego. If you can, try and cram in that ranged damage or ranged armor early on. It'll really be a boon in this matchup, and then from there you can always look at getting the siege engineers. I think that's what it's called, the upgrade to let your ranged infantry and your melee infantry build rams. And just look at putting the pressure on from there. So the beauty of the outposts for the English as well, if you've got them there, you get that network of castles upgrade, network of castles buff, just giving you that attack speed boost for your units. So we'll see Brax range versus range plus some armory upgrades. So steel arrow coming in, and iron undermesh, so range damage and armor. And then we'll see probably siege engineering from there. While over here, Stormkeeper probably going to get some man-at-arms to start with, just because they can tank the bows really well. And then if he sees cavalry, then worry about making spears. Because why would he want to make horsemen? I mean, why would he want to make spearmen until he sees horsemen? When the man-at-arms, for their extra cost, are definitely going to be quite versatile to tank. I think they actually are better to tank the cavalry charge than spearmen as well. It's just that spearmen deal that much damage and they snare cavalry. But that's why spearmen are the better unit to have. But we're going to have a forward outpost here from Diego, because if he can get it finished, like his opponent, he'll be able to make use of that network of castles buff, and he can garrison low bowmen in there. He can look at taking, for now, arrow slits, and if he gets age 3, springles upgrade. So the springled upgrade, pretty much 1 to 2 shots most of these squishy infantry units. Stormkeeper trying to wall off, and this is a nice timing on his King's Palace. He's going to be quite fast on it, but in the meanwhile, Diego certainly is going to have a unit count advantage. So Stormkeeper adding another barracks, but he hasn't actually added any man-at-arms yet. He needs to get some upgrades first, so they're actually tanky enough to survive against the bowman advantage. Well, there's been non-stop production, or almost non-stop production, out of the Council Hall of Diego. who's now going to get Siege Engineering. He hasn't got either of those Age 2 melee upgrades, hasn't needed to yet, but he's got both the Age 2 ranged upgrades. Going for early rams now already. And it's so cool how it adds stuff like that. But yeah, this forward outpost, all he needs to do is have another one up here, and DA can really start creeping towards Stormkeeper's base. The Stormkeeper committing to a second TC is down on Vils compared to Dieg at the moment, but that's really going to swing in his favour. But Dieg is going to be able to maintain an army lead advantage, which he's already got. And that's a lot of bowmen and a couple of rams this early on. Some good control there from Dieg to focus down the bowmen. But he's going to have to try and pick off these man-at-arms. He's going to do well to do so. And now that they're both down, he can start focusing on the bowman of Stormkeeper, who's done a good job to bring the villagers forward without bringing them too far forward. He's nearly managed to snipe a ram. So Dieg's going to have to repair that one while this other ram makes its way in. But it's not actually rallied onto anything. Oh no, it is rallied onto the racks. Which it... Ooh. He's baiting the villagers out. And Dieg is going to manage to snipe a couple of Stormkeeper's vills. Well, one of his vills. And meanwhile, he's going to get the man-at-arms. And he's going to be able to take a fight. 16 bows v7. Which is definitely a favourable trade. But Stormkeeper behind this, meanwhile, has that second town centre production. So, vill count's now 41 to 37. Stormkeeper now just able to mount a better vill production. But he's having to deal with more and more rams on his doorstep. Dieg relentless with this pressure at the moment. But there's a lot more to this game. It's going to go late game with early game pressure like this, which is interesting to see. But Dieg is going to try and go in with the rams and get what he can, because if he can snipe that barracks, he can really harm man-at-arms production. There is another barracks here for Stormkeeper, who at the moment can actually afford to just pump out some man-at-arms. But this is tough for Dieg, because now he's fighting under the town centre. Now the villagers are fairly safely protected when trying to get onto the rams. This is good for Stormkeeper. He should be able to get one of these rams perhaps. And now the bow count is pretty much even. It's only just favouring Dieg here, who, bearing in mind, has to travel the map to bring units across. And Stormkeeper just now starting production out of that second racks, and he's going to throw up a third racks, considering the first one's gone down. At this stage, I think he probably could get forestry and have it be worthwhile. We're far enough into the game where the 75 resources is probably going to be worth the 3 to 4% gathering improvement. Let's see, has Dieg hasn't taken it either, I don't think. Yeah, Dieg hasn't taken it either. And Dieg going for his King's Palace now, so it's a little bit later than Stormkeeper's, who's now up to 41 vills. Dieg up to 48. So why is Dieg's vill production so much better than Stormkeeper's? Stormkeeper got the... Oh, he doesn't have the food. And he's off the gold now to get on food and wood. Oh, and he's got 3 villagers building. Stormkeeper must have lost a couple of early villagers and probably needs to cancel this wall at this point just to put the food into farms, because you really need to pump out units at this point. 3 racks as well, though man-at-arms are going to be extremely expensive, so perhaps Stormkeeper was probably best off maybe going for one of these hunts now. This is a big forward base here, this big proxy base here for Diego. He really wants to keep this pressure going, and now he's not going to have to cross the field as much, and he's got armor clad coming in, so he's going to have a very versatile tank. While there's no armor clad here yet for Stormkeeper. It's an expensive upgrade, but if you're going to want to be using Man-at-Arms to shield at this point, you probably need to add it, because then on top of that, if either of you add Rangers on top of your Council Hall to get Crossbowmen to really deal with the Man-at-Arms, it's nice to already have the upgrade there, just so you get that little bit more value out of them before they go down. Because eventually, I mean, as much as it's easy to keep massing the Longbowmen, it is better to eventually switch to Crossbowmen and then get back on Longbowmen in the late game, I think. It's just that, particularly with Man-at-Arms or the Knights as the tanks, I think Crossbowmen are just that high value at the moment. Partly because Man-at-Arms are that high value at the moment. So Stormkeeper looking to try and break out of this one. And he doesn't have the armor-clad tech. Well, by now, I think it would have kicked in for Diego. Yeah, it's kicked in for Diego, which makes his stuff even more tanky. It's making this hard for Stormkeeper because he's really got to focus down all the bowmen quickly enough that it's just his bowmen and Man-at-Arms versus opponent's Man-at-Arms. He is doing a good job at one-shotting all the bows though. But yeah, now that Man-at-Arms are sitting on top of the bowmen with armor clad, it's going to be very hard for Diego's bowman. I mean, very hard for Stormkeeper's bowman to stick around here. Diego's also adding in Springald upgrades and even getting the Fortify upgrade here. So he's going to be able to pretty much one-shot these Age 2 units and two-shot the Age 3 infantry. But right now, Stormkeeper trying to get a bit of a scout out and a potential harass on his opponent here. Maybe deny some of this gathering if he can. In the meanwhile, he's trying to come in onto these outposts, but now that they've both got the Springald upgrade, they'll pretty much be able to 2 to 3 shot the Man-at-Arms, 1 shot any of the backline units. Yeah, these bowmen really only able to get a villager or 2. So now Diego, I think he's got a slight lead over Stormkeeper at this point. He's looking to get a bit more stone. He wants to keep the tower pressure, and Stormkeeper himself is getting a tower here as well, an outpost, but at this stage you need to have the gold and the stone in the bank so that as soon as it finishes up you can get the Springald in placement and really bully your enemy out of the area. I think the villager just got picked off there, and now the town center, I mean now the range and the outposts are eventually slowly going to get chipped away. It won't be for any great damage though. But even here, a single Springald with the network of castles upgrade supporting it, it's going to be able to chip away at villages. Make this very annoying for Stormkeeper to deal with, who's having to get his own Man-at-Arms and run them around the side of the map. He wants to disrupt the gathering out of the King's Palace there, and I think he will be able to. But in the meanwhile, he's got to try and find a good woodline spot, and it's annoying having all these spread out trees here. You've sort of got to come back onto a proper clump of trees, like over on either of these 2 sections for the most cost-effective gathering. And even then, that storehouse, that lumber camp probably could have been closer. And this is rough for Stormkeeper because Diego already has that Treb there. There's a couple of rams in the back. That Springald's there. Constantly harass at a distance and make it really unattractive to try and engage until you get a couple of your own or get something on it to destroy it. So Diego garrisoning everything here at the moment, and he's going to have to send something to clean this up. But I think he does have the unit count to be able to do so at the moment. He's going to be a little bit up on Stormkeeper at the moment, who's going to be dropping a couple of houses, a couple of production buildings to this trebuchet. And some villages as well. I mean, sorry, some villages for DA getting caught here though. And he's got some others garrisoned. So some nice harass here from DA, but Vil count's 71 to 49. So right now Stormkeeper's got a bigger army than Dieg, but in saying that, the eco game definitely favouring Dieg. The fact that there's 3 towers with the Springald upgrade makes this very hard to be pushed into. That Treb is going to fall, but at what cost to Stormkeeper here? Because, man, these outposts are going to generate some value here. And meanwhile, there is a lot of man-at-arms missing out on this fight for DA, trying to stop Stormkeeper's harass. Stormkeeper, again, that's costing him his front line, and with long bowmen and no crossbowmen, it's very hard to push into upgraded man-at-arms. But he has found another base, another gathering point of Diego's here, so Stormkeeper's going to be able to push him off that. So DA going to have to instead expand his farm eco. But this is a really rough fight for those bowmen. They're not going to be able to get a huge amount of value here. And more man-at-arms coming into the fray. It's really rough for Stormkeeper. No crossbowman here. Like I said, he could switch to the food gold eco at this point, I think. But in saying that, it's Diego who can really afford to do so. Very smart use of the outposts there. Stormkeeper has gone for that monastery. Has he started going for any of the relics yet? I don't think so. I don't think either of the players have looked at going for the relics just yet. So 62 eco and 47 military versus 78 eco and 39 military. So Diego a little bit less units on the field, but a lot more eco at this point. And if he fights under these outposts, he can definitely take a great trade against this army from Stormkeeper, because like I said, he needs to really transition to the crossbowman. He's got him in. Oh no, Diego's got crossbowman already in production. Stormkeeper looking at starting it now too. But yeah, the bowmen are going to fall off until you can get that attack speed arrow volley in age 4. Because until they got arrow volley, crossbowmen are just worth so much more as a ranged unit. Well, against armoured targets anyway. The longbowmen still have that range advantage, so I guess technically you can make better use of them against unarmoured targets from afar. We've got a forward keep incoming here for Diego. Stormkeeper having pushed him off another hunt here, but he's going to lose all this. It's only a couple of man-at-arms at this point. This is forcing Stormkeeper to be active, who started getting his own crossbowman production at this point. And now he's banking way too much food and needs to get that gold. But I don't know if he knows where he's going to get it from, because he doesn't want to be gathering it from right here. Diego's doing a good job at keeping him off that, while Stormkeeper hasn't actually seen this gold mine down here. Yeah, Stormkeeper hasn't seen this gold vein down here, and this is really hurting him because he's having to try and get over to this one. He's really only just now managed to revive his gold eco, and really he needs to now mass select all these fills, get them down here, strip this gold mine, and do it quickly enough that Diego doesn't push into a death now. Meanwhile, Diego's got some really nice gold placements over here. Like that's crazy how good Diego's gold is over here compared to Stormkeeper, who's basically got no gold. He's got just this one here, and he had his starting gold, and then he's got this gold over in the corner, all the little ones, and he's got one here. So Diego definitely lucking out with the gold gen in this game too. And don't ask me, guys, this one wasn't done live, so I didn't have the chance to go, hey guys, let's do a restart. Didn't get that chance this one. And yeah, occasionally RMS occasionally dicks us over. Definitely can't blame it every game, but every now and then gold gen really does not go your way, or berries gen, stone gen, hunts gen. But even still, Diego's mounting an impressive push here. Good use of the outpost there. And in the meanwhile, he's just parked his army back behind this while he tries laying waste to this keep. It's funny, the outposts are in range, so they can return fire. But now Stormkeeper's managed to get on his golds, which is nice. He can really rev up that eco, but he's got 6k food in the bank, which he really needs to get rid of. So Diego's gone age 4 in the meanwhile. Stormkeeper has definitely got the food to last him through half of age 4, but he really needs the gold and needs a little bit more production to be able to spend this food. That fortress, I mean that keep going down. Diego gonna creep forward, bringing up these trebs. He's now going to be able to hit the tower and slowly hit the units as well. In fact, the trebs creeping forward further and further. Wonder if he's just going to go for the houses first before he worries about going for units in the barracks. Yeah, houses are going to start falling here for Stormkeeper. And Diego nearly maxed out. So one of the houses goes down, another one set ablaze. More houses going down, so Stormkeeper's going to have to replace these as this goes on, because it's going to limit his ability to keep producing units behind this. In fact, he's losing a barracks now. There's another house. But meanwhile, Diego just maxing out, getting the last couple of age 3 upgrades and pushing. In fact, he's even getting some of his age 4 university upgrades, so some of these really quite impressive stuff. They're expensive as hell. Elite army tactics, 1,000 resources, but just look at that. Health and damage by 20%. So that coupled with the flat upgrades, particularly once you've got just about all of them, is just unstoppable to deal with. Stormkeeper's kicking in just now, but he's got only a handful of crossbowmen in the mix here. His knights, only a few of those as well. Not a huge amount of upgrades on these guys, so he's slightly behind on the upgrades. And Diego with a very successful push here, but the knights are going to be able to snipe. Ooh, no, they're not going to be able to snipe the treads. That's a lot of reinforcement man-at-arms to deal with this. Ooh, in the meanwhile, Stormkeeper's tried to pinch a relic, and he might even be able to get... Ooh, he's not going to be able to get the convert. No, unsuccessful with the convo there, so good awareness there from Diego, moving everything out. So Stormkeeper instantly putting the relic back where it belongs, because he doesn't want to lose it now, but... Oh, I don't understand. Oh, they're putting up the... They're going to impale them. But not quite as good as it is against the cavalry. Yeah, oh no, palings, it only works against the cavalry. So a slight misplay there from Stormkeeper. He's backed himself into a nice spot here where it's going to be hard to take damage from a lot of the man-at-arms, but he just doesn't have enough knights or enough crossbowmen at this point. So Diego, the push, still going on strong. And he's still got plenty of gold, while GG, I was going to say, not a lot of gold for our Blue Trunks player on this seed, but GG, we're going to go to game number 3.